Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it's time to have a look on the updates 1.95 dev server at the B3C, and this is the first bomber that is available for Sweden at rank 1. It is a very long, large plane, and I'm glad to see it. It's one of those aircraft which I've kind of been waiting for a while, just not in this form. This is actually kind of a copy of a German aircraft, which hopefully at some point we'll see as well, but it's kind of nice to see the Swedish one. Also at 1.7 for the Swedish, you find this thing, and it does have some stiff competition. The Farman being at 1.3, the Italian S81 and BR20 and also BR20M with their great bomb loads, even the Chinese weighing in with a Martin. So hopefully the Swedish B3C will be all it's cracked up to be compared to those other vehicles. The main thing on the B3C is there's no armor protection. So once this thing is hit, it's hit hard, and that's an unfortunate thing for it because of the fact that it is so large. It's going to be a very hard target to miss. It does have 3 turrets defending itself though, 3 8mm, one in the front in this nose area here, and then we have one at the top here from this very relaxed gentleman, and then we also have one in the lower ventral as well with the gunner right here. Only one pilot, so once the pilot is knocked, he's gone, and once again, not centered. So once again, the Swedish just really don't like centering things. The vehicle is powered by Bristol Pegasuses, which is really nice, 805 horsepower apiece, and has massive fuel tanks in the wings, which are all self-sealing, along with some oil cooling systems. The modifications wise for this machine, you actually get some kind of interesting ideas. So the first load of weapons you get are 1650 kilo bombs. So nothing really crazy, especially with that explosive mass, only 10 kilos of explosive mass. So you're looking at not a ton, 160 kilos overall. I'm not even sure that's enough to fell a base. Then you get this torpedo. Now, this torpedo is nearly as bad, in my opinion, as the Wellington's torpedo. If you don't know the Wellington, you know, this wonderful plane here, it actually has access to 2 torpedoes. These are Mark 12 torpedoes, and you have to go 0 to 281 kilometers an hour and 0 to 105 meters to drop it. Now, on the B3C, it's actually harder to drop its torpedo than it is on the Wellington, but I think the Wellington's flight characteristics still make it harder to drop both of those torpedoes. But you can see you have to be at an altitude range of 0 to 45 meters, so really, really low, plus 0 to 240 kilometers an hour. I mean, that's not too bad, but still, that drop range is really horrific. Then you have access to 4 250s, which are mislabeled right now, but hopefully that gets fixed. So overall, the major bomb load this gets is 1,000 kilos worth of bombs, and I think that's nice. You know, it's not Farman level, but it's still pretty high compared to some of the other machines that we have, you know, in the tree. And something I do want to point out is just going into a test drive is to show the wheels, because the wheels are actually really cool in this thing. As you can see right here, they have this like inner area which they push outwards to once again take off. So we'll just, you know, take off casually. Also cockpit's placeholder, so nothing crazy with this. So that's something to unfortunately not look forward to, a full cockpit, but it is a bomber, so any cockpit in my opinion is good. It also has these huge flaps, which is very reminiscent of a lot of mid-1930s bombers. So you can see the wheels, they are incredibly slow, and they just get pulled straight upwards. And because they get pulled straight upwards, they then slowly but surely get pulled to the side, and look how slow these things are. Isn't it wonderful? They're still not up, by the way. Look how far we are away from the airfield. This might be the slowest gear in the game. I'm not entirely sure, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely one of those things that it could be in contemporary form. Here we go. It's nearly there. It's still not there. Can you do it? Can you do it? Oh, one looks like it's kind of in, but it's not fully in. And you see how weird of an angle it's at as well? something tells me there might be something wrong with these wheels. And when you want them out, oh, you better understand it's going to take ages for that to happen too. But before we do that, I just want to show you the general cover of the 8mm. So the front 8mm, which is right here, right in the nose, it actually does have pretty nice coverage. So you can see how far you can go up here. It's pretty nice. And then even by the side, look how far you can go over here. So even though it's just one central little gun, it doesn't have too much coverage below, which is a bit of a problem. But around above, if a plane comes in, you do have pretty good coverage from this single gun. Then, the two on the back. Because we have a twin tail, that means that we can shoot straight behind. And you can see the actual change of gun. Even though they are both listed as 8mm, there is a slight difference there. So you have this top gun, and you can see the height on it is very good. Like, look how far, or look how high you can do this so far. I think it can nearly shoot at a straight 90. I think it's at about an 85 right now, which is just kind of ridiculous. But you also have, if we just stay above, you also have a pretty good cover from the side as well. You can nearly, actually no, you might be able to. Yeah, look at that. Does this guy just turn, whoa, wait a second. This guy has crazy coverage, because he just turns all the way around. So he turns with the gun. How cool is that? Look at that. So there you go. You can pretty much cover the whole semicircle from wingtip to wingtip and behind. That is lovely. And then the bottom gunner doesn't have too much coverage, you know. It's more of a, what I see it as is a gunner which you use to back up to shoot people behind you. But overall, there's good enough coverage there to try and keep this thing alive. Looking at the bomb bay doors as well, they're right in the center, incredibly small for this machine, which is sad to see, but they do drop, as you can see, vertically, which is nice. Very large bombs as well, the 250s, and overall, I am just kind of impressed by this machine. What you've got to remember is at low tiers, the first thing is that these bombers spawn at such a high altitude that what generally happens is they don't really get attacked. God, reduced speed. We're hitting 400. These are speeds that we're not allowed to go in this machine. But because you spawn so high, generally you don't get attacked. But if you do get attacked, it's still nice to have some defensive armament to keep you alive. So this top gunner, even though he has like great coverage, it's probably not going to mean too much, apart from after the second spawn in Air Realistic. But that bottom gunner there is going to be much more useful than this top gunner who's able to move around. The bomb load is, I would like it to be more, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think the bomb load is good enough for an aircraft like this. I would definitely like to see something which was a bit more meaty, but the option of the torpedo definitely makes it at least interesting to think about. And also, you can see these are the two different belts you get. You get an AP belt and a mixture belt is probably the best way of putting it. And let's just see, can we get an artillery bombing mission, please? No, of course we can't. It's only free flight time in a wonderful mission editor for no apparent reason. Oops, I hit the wrong button. For some reason, sometimes the mission editor is just like, nope, we're not doing that, sorry. That is not allowed today, so we're going to have to try and do something else. But I think this machine does have enough power coming from the engines to keep it in a decent part. You know, it's able to just fly around the place and enjoy itself. The only problem I can see with it is, as I said, the lack of bomb load and also trying to get down to the ground. So maybe this isn't a problem for a lot of people, but generally the way I play bombers is after finishing the bombing run, I personally like to try and get back to base. And if you have a vehicle which really doesn't like diving, which is what this vehicle is, you're going to be sat in a situation where you're constantly having to go incredibly slow to lose altitude, and it's going to take you years to do so. And for me, that's kind of a no-no, because it means that all I have on board, this 4250 loadout, is all I'm going to get the whole match. And the rest of the match I'm just going to spend trying to get down to altitude. And that's just not good enough for a machine like this. So hopefully the dive is sorted out. Hopefully it's a little bit better, and if not, I'm just going to have to work out how to do a little bit better at coasting. It does have war emergency power though for its engines, so that is something to look forward to. And also, you know, all of the dials and stuff I believe are also in Swedish, so that's a nice little touch for this vehicle. You can see how large the engines are, you can see how large in general this plane is. Like, this is not a small vehicle that we're dealing with, and there's no way those Hurricanes catch up with us. But if you want to see how much damage stuff like the 8mm do, this is a great example. The 8mm are nothing to screw around with. They really do pack a punch for a lot of vehicles. Generally, people don't think that they do, but you can see how much damage they're just doing to these AI vehicles that we're just screwing around with. It's insane the amounts that they do. And same with the 13.2s. The Swedish are definitely coming in with a lot of power when it comes to their armaments, which may be the key selling points for this, because one of the selling points is definitely not the bomb loads, especially for a machine like this, so it might be worth trying to sell them in a different way, aka armaments. Now let's just check the... oh, of course, fuel starvation, that's always a thing. So let's just take off the bombs. There we go. Let's just see how hard we can actually dive. No air brakes, of course. Yeah, we can only go up to maybe 440 at most. And that's just, yeah, that doesn't feel nice. I wish it was a little bit higher than that. It's kind of interesting. We are, we're flying, I think. Well, there you go. We're flying with hardly any wings, hardly any tail, and half a rudder, half an elevator, and a dream. So, yeah. This thing can actually stay in the air when it's crippled. So if you see any ghost ones running around, make sure to take them out. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this plane. It's just a little bit lacking in certain areas. That's okay. Not everything has to be the best at everything. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, Jay Wilt, John Ryman, Joseph Anders, Martinez, Moxie, Super Cacti, Uyans Terry, Elove Goat, and Seductive Trash Can for supporting the channel.